Welcome to Turning Point. I'm Becky Alfrey.
And I'm Panda. It's amazing to look back at life and realize that everything that has happened, good and bad, has brought us to this very moment.
At every twist and turn, we have a choice. Let our experiences define us, or let our experiences refine us. Guests in today's show share healing stories that have enabled them to do just that.
If knowledge is power, I can honestly say that Jim Herndon, co-founder of Addiction Therapeutic Services, is one of the most powerful resources for addicts and their families to meet and begin their greatest journey. With medical school and a psychiatry background, he has worked with some of the biggest and most successful recovery centers in the world.
I've been practicing addiction medicine and psychiatry since I got out of med school and since I got to California.
And so, speaking of the medical area that you cover, can you briefly just give us a little bit of when somebody's suffering to an extent that they need help other than just have taking the drug away from them physically? Is there something else that you could share?
Well, there are certain alcoholism. People need to be detoxified from the drug, the drug alcohol. If they've been drinking, it's dangerous.
It is.
They get elevations in blood pressure. They get elevations in anxiety. They are at risk to have a grand mal seizure. So these folks need to be medically managed and monitored for in 2 to 5 days to make sure they don't have an adverse.
Any age? In other words, all of those areas are also.
I've detoxed people as young as 18 and as old as 84.
Oh wow! That's really interesting.
The prescription drugs, the anti-anxiety drugs, Xanax and Klonopin and Valium.
Those are very, very addictive.
Those are highly addictive and highly dangerous. Those also put people at risk to have withdrawal seizures. They can go into what's delirium tremens. They can start to hallucinate.
So are you able to do something to give them relief?
That's one of the things I do.
Okay, and so there's a shot or?
Well, it's oral medications.
Okay, so you have something that can make them feel more comfortable. So that's something that the audience should know.
And keep them safe.
Okay, that's important.
There's a huge heroin crisis
right now,
and narcotic pain medication crisis in the United States, and there are medications to get people safely and reasonably comfortably off those medications. The problem is when people go into withdrawal, they get afraid of going back into withdrawal.
Okay.
And it keeps them from accessing treatment or trying to stop altogether, which worsens their existence.
Oh, absolutely.
And makes them at higher risk for death from any of these substances.
And people do die of this. Well, you had a father that did. So do you think that had something to do with you wanting to do this as a career?
I don't know if it was my father. I don't know.
You just felt the desire that you felt to move in that direction.
I had done a psych rotation at a drug treatment center when I was in med school, and it's
made the impression.
And it's like, you know what? I can do this.
I think that's cool.
And so
that was your epiphany.
That was
seen. I see.
That was one of
because you were. It was because of working with them.
Yeah, the work. It was a good fit.
Absolutely. It's a perfect fit because somebody else that doesn't have the background wouldn't know if they were the con. That's simple, right?
Well, same with all my staff. I mean, a majority of my staff at our treatment center at ATS, they are in recovery. We meet regularly as a team, and there isn't any con that
nobody can get past you.
Can get past this team.
You got a pretty tight system there.
Yeah, I mean, between Mark and David and Ray and myself and Josie and
that's really good to hear.
It's a quality clinical staff, and
From what I could see, it really is first class.
And
not too big. Sometimes people can get lost in a bigger organization, I think.
Yeah, well, our goal is to allow people a different path in their life. And, with as much dignity as possible, is to get away from this disease. The numbers are the numbers. And, when I go into a treatment center, there's 25 people standing there, and at least 10 of those people are going to die from that disease.
Wow.
At least.
And that's a real hard statistic. That's what is.
That's just the hard
reality.
That's just the reality of
where it takes you.
The disease.
You're in the disease. Wow.
And is it diabetes and heart failure? Is it overdose? Is it suicide? Is it drive-by shooting? There are
so many things that
right.
it entails. That's really scary.
The average alcoholic loses 30 years of life.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Well,
it actually is believable.
It's
unbelievable that people don't want to get clean. They don't. Some people never go in, never try.
Well, it's the one disease that nobody wants to talk about because it might upset somebody.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of all for talking about the elephant in the living room.
Yeah,
It's when we don't talk about something, it becomes a problem.
It's in pretty much every home across the world.
There's a family
member. There's a family member or a friend of somebody who is 15% of the population will have this in their life.
Right.
So it's out there. And if people talk about it and seek help,
there's a chance for.
There's a good chance for recovery.
Dorothy Kloss is joining us and sharing some of her tips for a healthy and happy life. And trust me, it's working. At 93 years old, she looks better than most 60-year-olds.
So, Dorothy, I do feel like the background of our families that we were raised in does influence the direction we go. And in fact, the attitude we have as we're going in that direction, because some people come from negative families, some people come, and you came from lightness. You were a woman filled with this light, positive energy. And you're saying lucky a lot. And I think that's thoughtful and generous, but I think it's a more special thing than luck. I think that it is truly a gift. You are giving something because you give positive energy.
Well, but, I think you have to get that energy from people you surround yourself with. And I was lucky enough to have a family that surrounded me. My two brothers, I wanted to tap dance. They ran over to the hardware or the lumber store, and we lived in an apartment. They got me a piece of plywood and brought it home, and I annoyed all the neighbors for the rest of my life until...
So you tap danced on the plywood?
Right in the living room.
Awesome.
I was always practicing and loved going to dancing school, and they were always... Now, the thing that's wonderful is I never
How old were you when you started dancing?
7 or so.
Wonderful. So you basically said, Mom, I'd like to tap dance.
My mother was busy working and making a living, my dear.
Okay.
And so consequently, I never had a stage mother. It was all me and what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And she tried, dancing lessons for 50 cents. And she could hardly afford that. Rent was $27 a month.
Wow.
Now you see this lovely abode you're in right here. Well, you couldn't touch it today. But those were hard times. It was depression.
But this is your, it was during the Depression? This is
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
That is, okay, so what, that was in the...
10 cents a dance.
No. Right, no, but that was in, the Depression is in 29.
That's true.
And so it was in the 30s.
Well, I was born in 23.
Yeah, well,
so I
knew
was
that
hitting
because
those.
You are my mother's age.
Yeah, well, everybody was broke. I mean, they had lines of people and the soup
You remember
kitchens.
seeing that, too. You do remember.
I don't
you were
remember.
a young girl.
No.
You don't?
I remember the relief truck coming up to the front door because people didn't have food.
Okay, so your father died, so it wasn't like you had you didn't come from a divorced background. So you came from a nice family, and that was just the unlucky card she was dealt. And at that time, there wasn't any relief for a spouse that was all of a sudden single.
No.
So she just had to work like crazy.
But I think that what stands to my mother was the fact that we never thought we were poor.
I could feel that that's what you would say, actually.
It was always, we'll see what we can do. You know, when I got my...
She never said no. She said, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, that was always
She was a positive energy person.
Yes, yeah.
Was she Irish as well, by the way? So
Alice?
both of your parents were Irish. Okay.
And Alice. And Alice was very positive. She was never negative about anything you were going to do. You know, I mean, she said, "Oh, that's lovely, dear." When my first job, how that came about, that I went into the business, I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And there was a wonderful dancing school in the Loop, Chicago. And they had this, she had Muriel Abbott. She not only had a big studio, but she booked all the Hilton hotels.
Wow.
Hildegard, Liberace, all of them.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And you were in Chicago. Okay.
I was
You
raised in
were
Chicago.
born in Chicago.
No, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis. Okay.
Yeah, but then when I was 4 years old, we moved up. So I always consider,
of
you know,
course.
that's my hometown. But I think what was quite wonderful about it was when I said to my mother one day, you know, there's this school, and I think Muriel Abbott dancers, and every week when they used to advertise, this is something you're too young to know about, but every Saturday the newspapers were filled with the nightclubs and who were the stars of the show, and so on and so forth. Muriel Abbott, she would always had a picture of one of the Muriel Abbott dancers, and I loved the costumes and the
It
posing.
looked wonderful. So it made an impression on you at a very young age.
And I said to my mother, you know, she has this dancing school. And my mother said, well, why don't you go and find out about it? She didn't say, I'll take you down.
No.
I was 14.
You were 14, okay.
That's when you could take a bus.
Right.
With no problem.
But she literally, I love it that she treated you with respect, actually, by saying, well, you should look into that, rather than, I'll take care of it. You know, like, she wasn't controlling at all.
That wasn't her thing in life.
She didn't need to control you.
She really wanted everyone in her family to be independent. Her thinking was, and I had the same thinking with my son, was, what if something happened to me? And I was divorced.
Exactly.
I
you
want
should be
him
able to take care of yourself.
to be able to take care of himself.
That's how I feel,
kind of
about my
gave
daughters.
him that, you know, type of feeling. But I think that's what really helped me move along. I did go down, and I did go up, took the elevator up to the top floor, and there was this wonderful big studio. I had never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah. First time it
And
just blew you away.
ballet, tap. I mean, they were just doing everything there. And
But you had taken lessons before?
Yeah, neighborhood
Younger.
schools.
Okay.
Neighborhood schools.
Okay, neighborhood.
With great teachers. But they weren't taking me anywhere.
Right. You were
weren't-
ready for more.
I wanted to be in that newspaper there.
There you go. You actually did have a goal. You had a goal.
Always.
It was always. You knew what you
Well,
wanted.
you have to focus in life on what you want, and then you have to go for it. And even if it doesn't work out, what's the difference? You at least tried.
If life has become difficult for you or a loved one because of addiction, the ABC Club can help you heal. Chris Yingling of the ABC Recovery Center explains the many ways that you or your loved one can get the help you need.
ABC has what we call a full continuum of care. So we have detox, residential, IOP, which is intensive outpatient, and OP, which is outpatient groups. We also have a transitional living village that actually assists people that are in a state of homelessness in transitioning from that area of our facility into finding long-term permanent housing. What differentiates ABC from a lot of treatment centers is the fact that it's a charity. It's a 501c3. We're a nonprofit organization.
Well, that is different. They all are not nonprofit.
No, there are others, specifically the Ranch.
Okay.
They're a nonprofit as well. I believe the Betty Ford Center is also a nonprofit, a little bit different. But,
okay.
And so what makes us unique in that respect is that, if you work for a for-profit center, you run someone's insurance or they pay cash. If they are unable to pay, then obviously you can't provide services, and that's not to say that they're doing something that's unethical. It just means that the way that their program's set up, they're not able to accommodate that. ABC, have always helped down and out alcoholics and addicts, people that are homeless. That's kind of the way it started back in 1963.
Okay.
So, and we continue this day. I can't say that we survive completely on not being paid for services, that's not true at all. And we definitely make every attempt
to recover some money.
Yeah, when we can. If somebody's able to pay, then we try to make that happen. So
you take both clients. You take clients that are destitute and clients that actually have not lost everything or have family that cares.
That's what I love is that if somebody comes to us and they need help and we can see, the honesty in them and that they really do want help, ABC, we have a way that we can make that happen, and that's unique, from most other centers that we have locally. And it truly is the front lines, of the fight, because it really is a fight. If young people, it's the leading cause of death is overdose,
drugs.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Is alcoholism in that category as well for young
people? And people have a lot of different opinions, and of course I have mine too. But alcohol's a drug. We all know that it's classified as a drug. And I'm not saying that somebody who drinks socially, should be categorized.
Automatically an alcoholic.
I'm not saying that at all, but somebody who's,
where it's impairing their life.
It's impairing their life.
Yeah, right.
And what we kind of see is that these people are pre-wired, and once they, put a substance in their body, they're not able to live a life like everybody else does, and so people that experience those sort of problems, those are the people that we try to help.
Well, there has to be more compassion than I think what our society has given. And so I think that when you're out there and you're talking about it, it helps when you are able to read somebody, whether they are interested in really cleaning up or not, whether the court said you do this or you go to prison. Well, they're gonna say whatever they can to stay out of prison.
Sure.
So are you able to decipher whether a person is sincere because of their situation?
That isn't something that would cause us to say, well, we're not going to provide you treatment. Okay. We call that being externally motivated. Okay. And somebody may come in externally motivated. Maybe their wife's leaving them. Maybe they're getting a nudge from the judge, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean that during the time that they're with us that we won't be able to educate them and bring them to a point where they say, hey, you know what? I may have come here for the judge or for my wife, but I realize that that I have a problem and that I want to do the right thing.
Have you seen that happen?
Oh yeah, tons of times.
That's an absolutely wonderful thing.
So whatever brings them there, like whatever gets you there, it's just important that you're there, And there's been people that have come in too that we've seen mandated there that aren't addicts or alcoholics, that have been court mandated there. Oh, absolutely, we've seen that happen. They just had an instance where
wrong place at the wrong time,
and got remanded to treatment. So,
or a car accident that alcohol was in the equation.
Yeah, when you're young, you may do some dumb stuff. I know I
didn't do anything wrong when I was young.
No,
there isn't a person in the world that doesn't have some kind of struggle. So I don't like it that there is a stigma with drug and alcohol. because it is what it is. And I do see the strongest people that I've met have been recovering addicts, I guess that's what you call them, because you've made a choice.
Yeah.
And that choice is not easy. And it takes commitment, dedication, and really discipline, I would think.
Sure, a certain level of discipline and definitely self-awareness, knowing what your frame of mind is at any given time and making sure you stay away from behaviors that are going to wreck your life to a point where picking up a drug or a drink might seem the next logical choice.
Whether it's helping people through a crisis or improving their communication skills, therapist Dean Del Giudice shares his expert advice on how to achieve the healthiest and happiest relationships.
If you really are looking for a serious long-term relationship, clarify that.
Right.
Right in the beginning on the first date or the second date, you know. Is that what you want? Ask the person, you know. Then of course they might just say yes to everything in the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to see if it pans out. You know, you have to.
No, that's actually fascinating for me, and who knows what I'm going to do, but like we said, I believe in true love. Right.
Well, the more you screen, then the more time you have to devote to the ones that are real contenders. Okay? So to get, this is true, to come up with 1 carat of gem quality diamond rough, you need to move 300 tons of ore.
Wow.
But it's worth it when you find that 1 carat of gem quality rough diamond. Okay? So the thing is to have your ore filter out and just be, if they don't look like they qualify right out of the gate, just move them off the table.
Oh, definitely.
Right to the side.
Yeah.
So make sure that your goals and values match up. I talked to you once, I think, about the shopping list, did I not?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, let's briefly discuss that again.
Okay, well, when you go shopping, if you have a list, you have a better chance of coming home with everything you want and not a bunch of extra stuff that you didn't want.
Right.
When we're out there dating without a list of the traits and qualities and characteristics we want our ideal mate to possess, we're shopping without a list, and we're going to come home with someone that's either short on what we want or has some stuff we don't want going on.
A bunch of junk food.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens because it satisfies us in the moment, but it's not a long-term diet. So that's why if you have this list, you can start talking to that individual on the first few dates. So, are you family-oriented? What do you think of this? And how do you feel about that? And, what you're doing is you're interviewing them instead of trying to say, hey, like me. That's the problem. We try to say, like me. I want you to like me. And we're not busy figuring out, is this person good for me?
No, I like that. I like the shopping list theory because that just makes sense to me. It's like you go to the grocery store hungry and you're coming home with a bunch of chips and candy.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
Right. Not what's for dinner.
And delayed gratification really does pay off.
It does.
I think in relationships too, when you go in blind and you're just kind of deciding that you want to settle on something because you want to be in a relationship, we end up with the junk.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary. So feeling out someone's intentions, you can help with that too, like by giving personalized therapy.
Oh, yes. Who are they? Oftentimes when I ask somebody about their shopping list, what are the traits and characteristics you'd like in your ideal man, they're not sure. They've never stopped to really think about that.
Right.
Because then the next part of that exercise is I then say, and so, of this list of 10 things you gave me, do you do all these things?
Right.
We have to be ready to deliver
to
a relationship the things we want our partner to bring to the relationship.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people go, gee, no, I don't do that. No, I'm not like that. And it's like, well, you want this from someone else, but you're not bringing that to the table.
Right. Like if you want him to give you a massage once a week, you're going to have to be willing to give one back.
Yeah. Very good.
Or just go buy a massage.
Exactly. Whichever is easier for you, but just as long as they get their massage.
Right. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're very welcome.
Life is full of ups and downs, good and bad days. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work to thrust yourself back into positivity. Ben Stein shares some of his methods for turning those frowns upside down so you always have tear-free, clear eyes. Wow.
Ben, everybody has ups and downs. Well, what do you do when you are having a downtime?
Well, I have a whole bunch of things I do when I'm feeling sad or tired. One is I take a nap. I mean, I've found that the overwhelming majority of the time when I'm really feeling crazy is because I'm tired. And I will tell you that late at night, I stay up incredibly late. I'm an obsessive watcher of documentaries. I stay up very, very late watching documentaries. Really, really, really late, like 2 or 3 in the morning. And then I start to get crazy. I'm literally shaking with anxiety. And then I go to sleep, and by the next morning I usually feel pretty good. If I still am feeling tired, I'll take some more of a nap. I find that rest is probably the single number one condition. Second, eat something. You can see just looking at me, I don't make a habit of starving myself. I eat a lot, and I love it. I love eating. I love coming down here to the desert because I belong to this wonderful club at Morningside that has unbelievably good food. And I love lying in bed with my dogs. That's a great thing is probably to eat, lie in bed with the dogs, go to sleep, wake up, and then I go swimming. I love to swim, and that also improves my mood. And I generally swim, not always, but generally twice a day. In the morning, and then at night, really late, like sometimes 1 or 2 at night. And I can see the planes flying over, even really late. I can see planes flying over that might be going, say, from Dallas to Tokyo or something like that. And it's a magnificent sight. Every so often I get really lucky and I see the contrails of the jets going across the face of the moon. And that is an incredible sight.
Wow.
So all those things cheer me up. But work. Rest, be well fed, and work. I find that if I'm working consistently, I feel dramatically better. There's no comparison. Work is God's gift.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like more information on the services of our guests, please feel free to call their numbers we have listed coming up.
If you have a turning point you'd like to share, please call the number at the bottom of the screen and tell us all about it. Have an amazing week, and remember, any positive comment or smile you give to another person raises your frequency and theirs.